Hello, I'm Shayna. I'm going to be reading from the Glencoe Carpentry Construction book from the Michigan Builders Licensing and Continuing Education class. Anything that was told to be highlighted in the class, I'm just going to read through those bullet points to help with you studying at home, to help me study for my test too. Let's do this together. I'm starting on page 25. Employer responsibilities. Your employer has responsibilities to you too. Your employer must make sure that you are paid fairly for your work. You must also be given what you need to do your job. This often includes on-the-job training. Your employer must also provide safe working conditions and make sure you are treated fairly. Safe working conditions, federal, state, and local regulations require your employer to provide you with safe working conditions. This includes 1. Eliminating recognized health and safety hazards. Injury prevention is part of this responsibility. For example, employers have supported research into repetitive stress injuries. These are injuries that develop among workers who perform the same motions repeatedly. They can affect a person's employability. Informing you on the conditions or materials pose dangerous or health and safety. Page 27, deductions. The amount of money you receive before deductions is known as your gross pay. The amount of money you actually receive is called your net pay or take-home pay. Deductions are the amounts withheld from your gross pay for taxes, insurance, and other fees. Ask your employer to explain the deductions that will be taken from your pay. Some common deductions are shown in the call-outs for the pay stub are shown below. These deductions include FICA, the Federal Insurance Contribution Act, federal, state, local income tax, gross pay, net pay, and other deductions, such as employee contributions and retirement plans or medical, dental, and life insurance. Here is a picture of the pay stub down at the bottom. I would assume that many of us are very familiar with what a pay stub looks like. And if not, look it up on page 27. Next highlight is on page 34 under building codes. Building code is a standard set of regulations that govern the procedures and details of construction. Its purpose is to ensure that buildings are structurally sound and safe from fire and other hazards. Most communities follow one or more building codes. Next highlight is page 78. Talks about job site safety regulations. First question, what is OSHA? Most injuries can be prevented. Everyone on a job site has some responsibility for keeping the site safe. The best way to avoid accidents is to develop a safe attitude. And then there's a few bullet points. Think about the consequences of your actions, not only for yourself, but also for the others around you. Always follow safe procedures, obey the rules, and act responsibly. Keep in mind that you cannot rely on luck to protect you from accidents. Make safety a habit as you develop your construction skills. Learn good housekeeping habits because a clean job site is a safer job site. Many builders and contractors feel that there is a direct relationship between quality and at-work practices and safety. Workers who take the time on the job to do that job carefully or safe. One reason is that it takes a lot of concentration to do the job right. A worker who concentrates is less likely to be distracted by other workers and is more alert to possible hazards. Another reason that careful workers are safer workers is that a higher degree of craftsmanship slows the pace of construction. Injuries are more likely to occur when other workers rush to complete a job. OSHA. The purpose of the U.S. Occupational Safety and Health Act is to assure, so far as possible, every working man and woman in the nation safe and healthy working conditions to preserve our human resources. The act is administered by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, other words known as OSHA. Next highlighted is on 79. Everyone has the right to a safe workplace. Under OSHA regulations, an employer must Make sure the workplace is free from recognized hazards that are likely to cause death or serious harm. Provide proper training for all hazardous work and the use of personal protection equipment. Comply with OSHA standards, including record keeping standards and accident reporting standards. Keeping the job site safe. What is a good sanitation? So I've got a star next to this one, meaning it's probably important. Younger workers are more likely to be injured than older workers. This might be particularly due to their inexperience. In addition, new employees have higher accident rates than longtime employees. So who usually gets injured on the job site? A younger employee. Next, page 80. Signs, tags, and barricades. Several kinds of signs and tags are used at construction sites. Danger signs warn people about immediate hazards such as open stairwells, caution signs, and those and safety signs. Warn about potential hazards or unsafe practices. For example, a caution sign might be used to warn workers entering an area where laser equipment is used. If a tool or piece of equipment is defective, a temporary tag should be placed on that to warn people that they should not use it. The tags shown in the safety tags are in example A. Example A. Safety tags. The colors that he had a star are red. Red means danger, emergency. Yellow means caution, just like a stoplight. And then I have a note down at the bottom. Anything over a gallon of gas needs to be in a metal, self-containing, and a self-closing. Kerosene needs to be blue, and diesel needs to be yellow. Okay, next page, on page 81, it says, using a fire extinguisher. Various fire extinguishers might be found on a job site, including models that rely on dry chemicals, halon, water, or carbon dioxide. However, the basic method for using any of these extinguishers it goes to the next page. So here's a little table down here that he had us highlight things on the table. Need an ABC fire extinguisher on all residentials. These are the A, B, C, D. So A would be for wood, paper, cloth, and plastic. B is for grease, oil, and chemicals. And C is for electrical cords, switches, and wiring. So residential, you need to have an A, B, and C fire extinguisher. So to be able to operate any of these fire extinguishers, they have the same acronym to be able to remember how to use it. It's PASS, P-A-S-S. P is pull. The pin at the top, pull. A, aim. The nozzle towards the base of the fire. Stand about 8 feet from the fire. S, squeeze the handle and discharge the extinguisher. S, sweep the nozzle back and forth, aiming it at the base of the fire. Excavation safety. An excavation is a cut, cavity, trench, or depression made by removing earth. Excavations are dug to prepare the site for footings and foundations. They are also required when installing pipes for site drainage. Workers near an excavation must be careful not to fall in. For those who are working within the excavation, the dangers include cave-ins and possibility of equipment falling into the excavation. Excavations should be inspected daily for signs of soil movement or other problems. If an excavation is deeper than 5 feet, OSHA requires that workers be protected from cave-ins by shoring or reinforcing the walls, trench boxes, or by shaping the sides of the excavation to minimize the hazard. 2 basic ways to shape an excavation are called simple slope or bench sloped, shown in these two types of excavations. So I'll show up the picture for you. The sloped and the benched. So benched is like steps, have little benches. In benching, the soil is excavated from one or more has horizontal levels or steps. The surfaces between levels are vertically or near vertical. Simple slope or bench slopes excavations deeper than 20 feet must be designed by a registered engineer. Before starting an excavation, local utilities must be contacted in order to determine the location of existing underground utilities. Always call before you dig. In Michigan, it's 188. To minimize the danger of cave-ins to the side of the excavation should not be too steep. The proper slope depends on the soil type. The soil that has been removed must be piled at least 2 feet away from the edge of the excavation. Any equipment must also be kept at least 2 feet from the edge to minimize the danger of fall-in. Workers should not stand or work directly underneath the loads being handled by digging or lifting equipment. There must be a means for workers to get out of the excavation, such as a ladder or a ramp. The ladder or ramp should be no more than 25 feet away from any worker. And that's where I'm going to stop for this one. Thanks.